Welcome to Best Picture This, where it is always Oscar season. I'm Mike.
And I'm Brian. In this show, we reevaluate every Best Picture nominee from the 21st century, and then some movies that have absolutely no Oscar ambition whatsoever, but they're just trying to have some fun. For example,
I hope that you're not talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, Brian, but that is what we're talking about today. It's another movie in our summer series. If you're watching this live on our Facebook page, you can still make plans to see the movie tonight, May 14th. It's being shown for free at 8:15 p.m. at Central Park in Town Center, presented by the City of Palm Coast Parks and Recreation Department and Flagler Schools.
Yeah, there will be other movies in the park from the city second Friday of each month from March to October. So you'll have Trolls World Tour, June 11, and Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, July 9, for example.
And movies are always more fun when you can talk about them, Brian. So thanks for joining us, everybody. And that's why we're here to talk about Sonic. Don't forget to subscribe to the Palm Coast Observer's YouTube page for Best Picture This episodes about all of the Flagler County Library and City of Palm Coast movies. If you want to sponsor this show, email us at bestpicturethis@gmail.com.
You can also listen to our library of more than 30 episodes of Best Picture This movies on Apple, Spotify, or wherever else you get your podcasts.
Do you have a favorite movie that you feel like doesn't get the attention it deserves? I think everybody has one. If you become a patron to this show by visiting patreon.com/bestpicturethis, you can help choose a movie for one of our future bonus episodes. Our first patron curated episode will be David Cronenberg's body horror film, The Fly, from 1986. We'll be dropping that later this month. And our second patron curated episode will be Garden State. Looking forward to that one.
So I noticed that you called The Fly a film. Should that be more considered a movie, or do you think a film is?
I think it falls into the film category, Brian. The aesthetic is movie.
You think Sonic the Hedgehog is a movie or a film?
Sonic's definitively a movie, but The Fly is a film.
We'll see. That'll be a fun one to debate. So Sonic the Hedgehog, it was not nominated for any Oscars, but it did win Excellence in Title Design at the South by Southwest Film Festival. So that was the most prestigious award that I could find. The titles are pretty cool.
Yeah, they are.
And I love the rings. If you haven't seen the movie yet, if you're going tonight or you're going to see it someday, it's produced by Paramount Pictures, and instead of the little stars around the mountain at the beginning, it's the little rings from Sonic. So that's when you know that they're having fun with Sonic.
Yeah, when they throw in that movie branding onto the studio branding, you have to feel like the studio is kind of calling its shot, right? Like we know this is going to be a hit, so much so that we're changing our branding just for Sonic.
And Sonic was a hit.
It was huge. Yeah.
So we'll talk more about that. So coming up in the show, we'll do our Farley Awards for the most awesome moment of the movie. We'll each give our golden take, because on Best Picture This, there are no hot takes.
Oh no.
Only golden. We also will ask each other one question that is designed to twist the wax of truth onto the handlebar mustache of life. And we will imagine now what else might have been, different actors who might have played different roles, and then we'll talk trivia to kind of wrap it up.
Yeah, but first, our Farley Awards, Brian. This is our most awesome moment of the movie. And for me, this one was easy. It's when Jim Carrey shows up. Just we wait a little bit for it at the beginning of the movie. We meet Sonic.
18 minutes. 18 minutes. We wait
18 minutes in. You counted it. Okay, good. Well, so we spend about 18 minutes with Sonic. During that time, I'm kind of in, but I'm sort of waiting to see where the movie's going. When Jim Carrey shows up, I am in. So this is a guy we haven't seen since 2016 when he was in Dark Crimes and The Bad Batch. And a lot of us probably didn't even see those. His last real big year was 16 years prior to Sonic in 2004. That's when he made A Series of Unfortunate Events and one of my favorites, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Classic.
In between then and now, I'm just going to rattle off some of the titles he's made between the Eternal Sunshine year and Sonic. Dumb and Dumber 2, that's T.O., because, they're dumb. Mr. Popper's Penguins in 2011, A Christmas Carol, I Love You, Philip Morris, Yes Man in 2008, Horton Hears a Who, The Number 23 in 2007, Fun with Dick and Jane in 2005.
So why are you saying that he hasn't shown up since 2004?
No, I didn't say that he hasn't shown up since 2004. I said that his last big year was 2004. Okay. We haven't seen him in at least 4 years, though. His last movie was 2016. So I was psyched to see him here, especially in a role like this where he can go big and he doesn't. I don't think he wastes that opportunity. There is Ace Ventura energy in this performance, and that's what I was big on. So
just with a few more wrinkles around the eyes.
yeah, that makes him a little bit more distinguished, though, Brian.
Yes, it's the distinguished Ace Ventura.
Yeah, oh, it's great. So Bilge Ebiri of Vulture. Let me read a little passage for you that I liked. It's a little bit long, but I think it's worth it. As the wild-eyed, mustachioed Dr. Robotnik, Sonic's power-mad traditional nemesis, Carrey taps back into the unpredictable energies of his golden era. The jutting jaw, the exaggerated voice, the angular, surreal movements, and perhaps most importantly, the velocity of his delivery. The script gives Sonic all sorts of desperate, hopelessly cliche quips, but it counterbalances them with Robotnik's bizarre zingers, which Carrey revels in, constantly switching speed and volume to draw attention to their macho, absurdist bravado. I'm just going to say ditto to that, because I think that this guy nails it. And this scene and sort of the promise of more Jim Carrey like that throughout the movie carried me through.
I love the when Jim Carrey's kind of a sidekick, and we're not giving anything away here, but his sidekick brings a latte to him. And he's like, I thought you might like a latte. And Jim Carrey just goes crazy and is like, you imbecile. Of course I want a latte. I love the way you make them. That was the moment where I laughed out loud. And I was kind of like, this is the delivery of this is how Jim Carrey's delivering on the promise of this movie.
Yes. He really just fully commits to it. And I love how this character is he's just so ridiculous and like this kind of hyper immature way. Like he can't even give a compliment without it sounding like an insult, like with that line. It's so good.
I love his evil dance in the in the movie. That was probably one of my favorite moments for him. But I will also say that at the beginning you see Sonic, like he's kind of set up as being a lonely kid with no one on earth to kind of be his family and his friends.
Yeah.
And when he is on the baseball field and he's kind of imagining that he's playing baseball, I thought that really worked very well. If you haven't seen it, that's something I think to look forward to early in the movie. I'm very critical of usually sports action in movies because they seem to like don't really get it right. But I actually thought this worked pretty well. Like the sensation of being on second base and about to run to third, and it looks like it's really far away. And I don't know, there's a lot of things like that I thought worked really well. And it kind of set up, you do start to kind of feel sorry for Sonic, this like, 3D computer generated thing. So
you're saying they gave Sonic pathos?
They did.
And you empathized with him as much as you would in any human drama. Is that what you're saying?
Are you making a dig about Gollum at this moment?
No, but you do have your issues with Gollum. I will add on to that sports thing that you're talking about. In sports movies, especially baseball movies, because I consider myself a baseball guy. I hate when they have actors in roles and you can tell that they have never swung a bat, never thrown, but they're like, I'm an actor. I could sell anything. And there's something about it you can tell immediately when somebody has not grown up.
And yet you're okay with like Richard Gere not being a good tap dancer and going crazy and tap shoes on
I'm
Chicago.
100% okay with that because Chicago is more about charisma than it is about dancing talent. And I'm going to stick with that.
All right. If you're feeling lost, I'm sorry. You can listen to our previous episodes about Lord of the Rings and Chicago on our podcast. Okay, so if you're just joining us, we're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog. It's a city movie. If you're watching live on Facebook, it's tonight at 8:15 at Central Park, May 14. So let's do golden takes. Yeah, what's your golden take, Mike?
So movies that are based off of video games are historically terrible. I'm talking terrible across the board, but
TMNT. Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, I mean TMNT. I don't know if I can say that is based off of a video game. There's a lot of other TMNT properties out there, but I think the point here is that these movies are getting better, and I think that Sonic is one of the best. So just to establish how bad video game movies generally are, I'm going to list some, Brian, and I am 100% positive that you either forgot or never knew that a lot of these movies existed. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I hope that you have some Rotten Tomatoes information also.
No? I do. So Super Mario Brothers, you just mentioned. So let's throw that off the list. After that, We have
Well, do you
Hitman.
have a Rotten Tomatoes on that? Because we actually had, I don't know how I got a hold of this, but I actually had like a DVD of that, and my kids watched it, and I was always cringing because they would like sing songs and everything. It was horrible.
I
So,
don't have Rotten Tomatoes for each and every one of these, but I can tell you that they range from about 5% to like 45. None of these movies are over 50. Okay.
this
So we have,
one, Sonic got 63, right? So
yes.
this is by those standards.
Yeah.
Oscar.
We have Hitman. We have Street Fighter. Jean-Claude Van Damme's in that. Max Payne, Mark Wahlberg, Doom, The Rock, Assassin's Creed. We have seven Resident Evil movies. The Pokemon franchise, Lara Croft Tomb Raider, 2018's Tomb Raider, Silent Hill. Side note, Silent Hill, bad movie, great visuals. Warcraft, Blood Rain, Rampage, also The Rock, Prince of Persia, Jake Gyllenhaal. They get big stars for these movies, and they're all terrible. Angry Birds and 1995's Mortal Kombat, and there is so many more, and a lot of those have sequels. About how many from that list do you think that you've seen?
Not very many. I usually avoid these movies, although I did see the Tomb Raider, the 2018 Tomb Raider in theaters, and some fun moments. That's all you can usually say about them. There's some fun moments.
I think that they're starting to sort of curve up a little bit. I think that these filmmakers are learning a little bit more how to make video game movies less bad. Tomb Raider, like you mentioned, and Rampage are over 50%, but barely. So the new Mortal Kombat just released this year on HBO. That's at 55. So Rotten Tomatoes,
which you saw, right?
I've seen it, and I wouldn't say that it's great, but you kind of get what you pay for, and it's fun at times, and it looks good, which is more than you can say for the 1995 version. But Rotten Tomatoes, not the arbiter of quality. I think, though, that they're onto something with this curve. I think that Sonic is the best of that bunch, and it's not even the highest video game movie ever made. And I just want you to give me a guess. Do you have any clue what might be the two movies that are above it as the highest ranked video game movies of all time?
Are they on your list that you just read?
No, they are not.
Actually,
one of them is Hunger Games. Is that what you said?
No, War Games.
Oh, War Games. That is incorrect. So Detective Pikachu is 67%, and that's kind of part of the Pokemon franchise. So I guess that was sort of a trick question, but it's not number one. And this shocked me. The number one video game movie of all time, the Angry Birds movie 2, 73%.
Sequels, no.
I couldn't believe it. So I just think that this is kind of a long way to say that they're getting better, and I think they're getting better because filmmakers are kind of they're not being so strictly loyal to the source material anymore. They're not like, if it's a Sonic game, it's just going to be about Sonic collecting rings and then jumping on top of little robots to turn them into woodland creatures. Like, they actually made his problems human. They made him human, and I think the movies are better off because of it.
Very good. A little bit about another reason why you could say that these movies may be getting a little bit better. It's box office info. This movie cost $85 million to make, and the box office numbers.
Yeah, $85 million though.
Yeah,
that's an expensive, really expensive movie. To put that into some perspective here, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which I think is a great action movie, that cost $60 million, $25 million less than Sonic. Kill Bill Volume 1 cost $30 million, and Mortal Kombat, which just came out, cost $55. So this was a pricey movie to make, but it did gross worldwide $320 million. So
that is a lot of money. That was the sixth highest in 2020. So I mean, when you get that kind of dollars involved, I think that you hopefully people see that it's also worth developing the story so that it's at least halfway worth watching. Which again, this was fun. Although this got 63% in Rotten Tomatoes, it only got 47 on Metacritic. So I think you're probably looking at a lot of like 2.5, star kind of reviews from critics. But
that's a little harsh.
It did get an A in the audience score. So when it comes down to it, how do you make your money? It's not by pleasing critics like you and me, Mike.
Yeah, we're too highbrow
critics. Yeah, not the highbrow critics like us. But an A, that's pretty incredible. And Jeff Fowler doesn't totally come out of nowhere, a little bit out of nowhere. This is his first movie that he directed, but he was nominated for an Oscar in '04 for a animated short film. So he has a little bit of cred. He's also working on Sonic 2 and a Pink Panther reboot.
Nice.
So the reason I bring that up is because of my golden take, which is that art is a commercial endeavor. As much as I like to think of it as being sort of highbrow and only from the heart and never having to worry about dollars and cents, the audience's reaction does matter. So you talked about Sonic trying to be, sometimes they stay too true to the source material, and then you lose any sense of a good story.
Yeah.
Well, with Sonic, this has been in production for a long, long time. 1995, they started working on production. 2002, they gave up work. They're swapping directors, swapping all kinds of things. Production companies gave up on the 95 version. Went to 2002, worked on it, gave up on that. 2013, Jeff Fowler was hired in 2016, 4 years before it came out. The director's hired. And there's a lot of fretting about things like, is it true enough to the movie, to the video game? So here's when Jeff Fowler took over, and it's 2018, 2019, it was very controversial because Sonic looked more like a person than he does in this iteration. There was actually and Paramount, which eventually bought it, thought that some Sonic fans would object, but that general audiences wouldn't care too much. That proved to be incorrect. Gita Jackson of Kotaku called it horrific and, quote, a blight upon this weary earth, unquote.
Wow, came in hot on that one.
The realistic human-like legs of Sonic were a blight upon this weary earth. There was memes that were brought up, like you see this poster of Sonic crossing his legs on a roller coaster, and they look like his knee is up and his leg is out extended. I'll find the poster and post it as a comment on this live video.
Yeah.
But there was memes of people imitating, taking a picture with their legs in that position and making fun of the promotional material for it. Also, Sonic originally was designed with smaller eyes, and it didn't look like the video game. So they actually screened it and everything, and they went back to the drawing board because it got such bad audience reactions, and they spent an extra $5 million.
Wow.
Redesigning Sonic so that he looked more like he does in the video game. And as a result, you have an A audience score. And I'm sure that A audience score results in $320 million worldwide, because if everybody hates it, you don't get the rewatch, and you're never going to get $320 million if everybody hates the movie.
So
you might cover your amount, but what were you going to say?
So are you saying that you think that if Sonic looked more off-putting, exact same movie, same story, same everything, then the movie would have been a failure? People would not have seen it. You think that the most important thing in a movie like this is that we have to be able to see Sonic as kind of cute, but mostly just relatable?
I think that Sonic needs to look like he belongs, like he's the video game that you knew. I think that really matters to people. But I brought this up, I started out by saying art is commercial because think of I read this great book on Michelangelo. It's called The Pope's Ceiling. Michelangelo, you think of the Sistine Chapel as one of the great artworks of all time, right?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't just this, great artist doing whatever the heck he wanted on the chapel ceiling. He got all kinds of direction, and there's all jokes, up there on the ceiling. He's sort of essentially, saying screw you to his patrons. But he's influenced by them.
Yeah.
And in this sense, somebody had an artistic vision of, we're going to make Sonic look like this with human legs instead of little furry, blue legs. I mean, they're still blue, but they look like real human calves and quads and stuff. So I'm just saying that people make concessions so that it can please the people who are paying their bills. And that has always been the case with almost every artist. Occasionally you see these stories of somebody like Van Gogh who never sold anything. And maybe then his artist vision is uncompromised. But today, with every movie in the movie business, somebody is paying a lot of money to produce it, and they're paying attention to whether those people are happy and whether it will sell. And there's just no way around it. Fortunately, a lot of times the audience does have a kind of a good sense about things. And sometimes they are, well, I don't know if I would give the audience tons of credit, but we're working on a Punch Drunk Love episode coming up, and that got a D+ from audiences.
Disgusting.
Crazy.
That makes me sick. So you are
one last thing.
Okay.
If you want to have high art, you can also go buy the official movie novelization for young readers of this movie. It came out in 2020.
Wow, nice.
So if you don't get enough of the movie, you can read a novel version.
That's good. Well. So Brian McMillan, you are pro notes from executives. You think artists, okay, executives, they're the ones with the insight. Is that what you're saying?
No, I don't think so. But I'm just saying that we can't fool ourselves too much to think that the artist's vision is what we get on the end result. I think that it's collaboration. And sometimes we're probably better off that the artist didn't just get to do whatever they wanted. But I think that there are some directors and some actors who probably do have almost full free reign to do it. But
sometimes it's rare. There's always a lot of filters for sure. But if you're just joining us, welcome. We're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog starring Jim Carrey. And a quick reminder, you can subscribe to the show and listen to our full catalog of 30 episodes and counting on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you can take a second and leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, that really helps in helping us find new listeners. So let's get into questions, Brian. What's your first one?
My question for you is, who is the audience for this movie?
Definitely kids. There's no doubt.
Well, then I agree with you, because there's a lot of I felt like there's at some points it was a little bit juvenile for like, how close of good friends are we? There's a lot of conversation about that, and it kind of like wears on you as an adult maybe, but it's very, very pressing for a kid, I think. But here's the thing. The movie begins with, there's like a little split second of Jim Carrey, because he's being chased in the title sequence. So they have to make sure they're showing Jim Carrey, because this is the guy who's selling the movie to a lot of adults, not to kids. Jim Carrey is not selling the movie to kids. They don't even know who he is. They've never seen Dumb and Dumber.
But once they do see him, I think that he is going to be a big hook for them. He knows how to play big and broad like that, and that appeals to kids.
But also, the first song you hear, or one of the first songs you hear, is by Queen. Not a story that 8 and 10-year-olds, not a band that 8 and 10-year-olds know. It's also based on a video game, not from today, but from the 1990s. So I would suggest to you that although, yes, there's a lot of things that are directed more to kids, they have to make it also appeal to people that are our age. Yeah. Because, and there are clear nods in that direction. Variety's Owen Gleiberman criticized the tone, saying, quote, "For all the borderline tedium I felt at Sonic the Hedgehog, I do realize that this is a picture made for 8-year-olds. And they'll probably like it just fine. Yet I would also call the overly kidified tone of the movie a mistake," unquote. I think that was interesting, because it kind of shows that like this guy probably would really love to see a serious Sonic movie. Like, is there such a thing? Should the world really have a serious Sonic movie? Or
Sonic is like Hamlet?
I do have a secondary question that I want to ask you, and I want to talk a little bit more about Jim Carrey. Okay. So my question for you is, what should be the next live action video game movie from these two, Pong and Tetris? Which one would be the better live action movie next?
Oh man, I'm gonna say Tetris because there are more shapes, so you can fit in more characters.
More characters, yeah.
Yeah, and each one gonna have their own personality, and they're trying to find out where they fit in life. There's your script right there.
That's beautiful. I love it. I'm going for Pong. I would like to see Jim Carrey as the ball, maybe in this one, maybe in 2025 or so.
You know what? It's funny though, because you do hear sometimes about they're developing a movie about Facebook. And I remember when I heard that, I'm like, come on. And then you see The Social Network and you're like, actually, that's pretty great. And it's not really about Facebook. It's about, the world around Facebook. Yeah. And so maybe you can do that. Make the world around Pong. Who's creating Pong? Let's learn about those characters.
I'm looking forward to our Social Network episode someday in the future. What year was that? I forget.
Yeah, put me on the spot. I'm not sure, but that's going to be a good one. So, Brian, with my question, I'm going to pull out the popcorn-o-meter. So for those who aren't familiar, the popcorn-o-meter is a very sophisticated piece of machinery.
Very precise.
It's very precise. Brian and I pull it out on the show from time to time, and it doesn't measure quality of a movie. It measures watchability.
Funness.
So, is the movie fun? Did you have a good time? Is it one of those where you can eat popcorn and kind of turn off your brain and just enjoy? So, Brian, I know that you were not psyched about watching Sonic. That wasn't on the top of your list because you're a very highbrow intellectual guy.
Oh, super
you like movies about, people talking or about death or about people talking about death. Those are the kinds of movies you like. So
the sadder the better. The sadder the better.
You didn't have interest in slumming it in the kids section like this. So I guess I enjoyed it. So I want to get your temperature on this. Did it exceed your expectations, which were low? And where does it rank on the popcorn-o-meter? If 10, say, is your Star Wars, your Scott Pilgrims, and 1 is The Sorrow and the Pity or the 10 Commandments.
The Sorrow and the Pity. I need to watch it just to complete my Annie Hall, experience.
Yeah, a 4-hour documentary about the Holocaust, I'm sure.
Well,
it'll be great.
Sonic the Hedgehog, I went into it knowing that I was I would never really choose to, it would not be high on my list of movies to watch just for fun for myself. Mm-hmm. And my older kids had already seen it. So I was like, I thought, hey, I'm going to go home and we'll say, hey, I got to watch this for the podcast. Who's going to watch it with me, guys? And they're like, we already watched it. So I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to watch this all by myself. Sonic the Hedgehog.
I did too.
How depressing is this? But because I was like, first of all, I'm not going to come on to the podcast and be like all Debbie Downer about it. I was looking for, all right, this is a popcorn-o-meter movie. Let's just let it be what it is. And so I was all willing to let I don't love every silliness moment of Jim Carrey, but I was like, there was enough that made me enjoy it. I did enjoy it. I thought it was fun. And
you're dancing around. You have to give me a number. This is the popcorn-o-meter.
Okay, so as far as like what percentage of it is fun versus
on a scale from 1 to 10, where does it rank on the popcorn-o-meter? If 10 is Star Wars and Scott Pilgrim, and 1 is the 7th Seal or the 10 Commandments.
I will give this a 6.
Nice. I was going to give it a 6 also. We both nailed it. So Christy Lemire, she was a writer for RogerEbert.com. Now she has Breakfast All Day, which is sort of a YouTube movie review show. She said,
AP too?
Yep. She said, if you want a light, fun escape, this is it. And that sums it up in one very short sentence. I think that Jim Carrey does enough to carry it. I like Ben Schwartz a lot. He's Jean-Ralphio from Parks and Recreation, if you're a fan of that. He's also always on Comedy Bang Bang, the podcast, and always hilarious on that. But I like this version of Sonic. He's always very enthusiastic and sincere, and he likes baseball. And it's fun, but it's nostalgic in a way that doesn't feel pandering. And I think it works. I mean, 6 means that it's above average. It's an easy watch. And and like you mentioned, I think the parents could still enjoy it, even though the kids definitely will. Yeah,
there are times in the movie where the parents going to laugh, and then other times when the kids are going to laugh. And, that's great that you can, those kind of these are movies that are good because you can watch it as a family, even though I was lonely in my watching of it. Because it's not going to make you worry that a kid's going to get overly scared or there's going to be some kind of inappropriate, there's no language in it. There's nothing that's objectionable. There are some lies told, so you might have to talk to your kids about lies.
Yeah.
So here's another question I have for you.
Okay. 3 questions. Nice.
I know there's a lot of questions. I'm sorry, but I had to ask them all. Is Jim Carrey a great actor, Mike?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's not even a question. If you have a different take on this, we're going to have to reevaluate the partnership, because Jim Carrey can do it all. He can do the wacky Ace Ventura thing. He can do the
You think he's a great actor in Ace Ventura?
Yeah. Who else could do Ace Ventura and not have that movie be completely unwatchable? Can you think of one actor?
Chris Farley. No. So The Guardian named Jim Carrey one of the best actors never to have received an Academy Award nomination. I thought that was pretty interesting. And I think I think he is great. I don't think he's great because of Ace Ventura, although those movies accomplish what they're trying to do. But it's hard for me. The reason I asked the question is it's hard for me to think of that as like great acting.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great comedy, but is it great acting? And what's the difference? It made me kind of think about it. Mm-hmm. So I want to run down a couple of points from Jim Carrey's career here, because I thought it was pretty fascinating.
Okay.
He grew up in Canada. And at age 10, he wrote a letter to Carol Burnett of the Carol Burnett Show saying that he was a master of impressions at 10 years old, and he would love to have a role on the show. And he got a form letter, but he was pretty excited about that. It was encouraging to him. His whole family actually became homeless temporarily. They lived in a van, and then in a tent because his parents had trouble with work. He dropped out of high school. We love these stories about actors dropping out of high school, don't we?
Yep. Oh, always.
Then in 1981, it was this big year. 1981, he's 19 years old. He's been trying to do some stand-up, and it's not really working so well. He does impressions only at this point, for the most part. And at 19, he got hired to open up for a rock band on 2 different nights. First night he gets up and he's booed off the stage, and he doesn't even show up for the next night. I would imagine this is kind of like the all is lost moment in the biopic that someday they should do about Jim Carrey. Although, how could you ever do a biopic of Jim Carrey without Jim Carrey? But then he got this positive review, and by April, that was in February, by April, he had a gig doing a stand-up routine on TV, doing impressionism. He was in a made-for-TV movie in Canada in 1981. And by the end of the year, Rodney Dangerfield had signed him up to be the opening act on his tour. That all happened in 1981. So talk about like reasons to give up, And by 1996, so 15 years later, he was the first actor ever to be paid $20 million for a movie. That was The Cable Guy. This is after you've already seen the big success of Ace Ventura, Dumb and Dumber. He was the Riddler in Batman Forever. Mm-hmm. So pretty incredible career, and getting to the point where then he starts doing these indie films, and now who knows what the next phase of his career could be. Maybe Sonic is kind of like coming back. There is going to be another Ace Ventura movie, by the way.
Oh, geez.
It's going to be written by the same guys who did this movie, Pat Casey and Josh, quote, Worm, unquote, Miller, who wrote Sonic. They're doing another Ace Ventura movie. So
I don't know. I mean, I rewatched Ace Ventura recently, and some of it definitely does not age so well, especially considering our current, social climate. Some jokes were not written for 2021.
Yeah, definitely.
But I still enjoyed it from start to finish. I mean, I thought that the tone was so weird, and it mixes kind of a film noir in a way with this just, off the wall, outlandish comedy. And it's, that's a good balance. But mostly I kept thinking while I was watching that this movie shouldn't work. I shouldn't be laughing at my age, having seen this so many times.
At your age, Mike.
At my age, because you watch it, it's just so silly. And only certain actors can do silly. And I don't think that comedy gets the respect that it deserves, especially from the Oscars, because people don't really, appreciate how hard it is to make someone laugh almost in spite of themselves sometimes. And in addition to doing Eternal Sunshine, which he's great in, The Truman Show is also great, really underrated, I think. And Man on the Moon, he's great in too.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what might have been?
Let's do it.
This is where we talk about who could have been in different roles in this movie. So tell me yes or no on these 5, not just in this movie. There's one that's not about the movie.
Okay.
Paul Rudd as Tom Wachowski, the Donut Lord, instead of James Marsden.
Yeah, Paul Rudd for sure.
They're kind of interchangeable. Come on.
Paul Rudd, I think he's a little more likable, but
Justin Timberlake as Tom Wachowski, the Donut Lord.
I think pretty much anybody could have played Tom Wachowski, the Donut Lord.
Josh Gad as the voice of Sonic.
Who's Josh Gad?
Josh Gad is Olaf.
Oh, yeah, I think so. That'll work.
I guess I felt like there's probably some interchangeable people for Sonic as well, but I think Josh Gad is pretty great. How about this? Sonic was originally considered as an animated movie, completely animated, not live action. What do you get from being live action in this movie, do you think?
You get Jim Carrey, I think, for one. Yeah. And you get special effects. You know, you get sort of combining the computerized Sonic with the Dr. Robotnik machinery at the end, and then you get that sort of payoff moment. And we talked off air. You haven't played the Sonic games, so you don't have
not much.
You don't have the history and the nostalgia tied up in the series like I do. I mean, I grew up on this stuff. Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic Spinball, the Sonic TV show where he's eating chili dogs all the time. No, I just had the Sega Genesis, Brian. My parents weren't rich, you know.
So there are a lot of little things, especially in the beginning. You know, Sonic is on like his Earth, his original world, and there's a lot of little Easter eggs for people who love the video games, which I didn't really get. So they were fine. And it doesn't hurt you if you don't know them, but if you know it, I think you'll appreciate a lot of little things in the movie.
Yeah, and at the end, he does. I guess I don't want to blow it, but they do bring in video game tie-ins more clearly in the last few climactic scenes, which I thought was good in that moment because they sort of avoided it the rest of the movie, where it wasn't so much about the rings, you know, it was about Sonic as a character. But then when we got there at the end, I kind of felt like, you know, you earned this moment, just go for it.
Yeah. Okay. How about last thing in our what might have been segment. Number 5, Jim Carrey he tried out for Saturday Night Live 3 times.
Yeah. And
he was rejected each time. So what might have been, do you say yes or no on Jim Carrey alongside Dana Carvey and Phil Hartman, who were accepted in his last tryout where he was rejected again?
Yeah. There's no world where I say that Jim Carrey shouldn't have been on Saturday Night Live.
Can you imagine Jim Carrey being on Saturday Night Live? How much better it would have been.
But you know what? He did his own thing, and he kind of it probably gave him a little bit more edge being on like the alternative comedy show.
He had a lot more crazy type of roles, I think, than he could have than it normally would have been on SNL, I think.
Yeah.
All right, trivia. I have 5 points of trivia. You have some trivia too, you said? I
don't.
Okay, trivia. Crazy Carl. You remember the guy Crazy Carl? He shows up early in the movie, so we're not giving anything away. He's a crazy guy in the town who apparently thinks he has seen Sonic, and he's played by an actor named Frank C. Turner. And Frank C. Turner has played another character also named Crazy Carl, but this one did not do quite as well in the box office. It was a 2007 movie called Kicking It Old School about a breakdancer. Got 2% on Rotten Tomatoes. And it grossed $4 million against a $25 million budget.
Ooh.
Yeah. A cool $21 million loss. So we can't blame Frank C. Turner for that because he was in the blockbuster smash Sonic the Hedgehog 2020. Number 2, there was a big marketing tactic from this movie. There's a song by Wiz Khalifa called Speed Me Up. And there was a TikTok challenge that was started, and it got 1.8 billion views, which helps to spread the word about a movie when you can get that kind of viral action, right?
Yeah.
Number 3, J.J. Abrams, who directed Star Wars The Force Awakens, they're trying to come up with BB-8. What does BB-8 sound like? And he hires Bill Hader and Sonic, Ben Schwartz, to make funny noises into microphones, and that turned into the voice for BB-8. They're all actually on the credits as vocal consultants for BB-8.
Yep.
Number 4, we're going to see another Ace Ventura movie. I already mentioned that. And number 5, James Marsden, who has quite a broad range of what he's done in his career.
Oh yeah, actually. For sure.
He is going to be in a movie coming up. It was just announced a couple of months ago that he's going to be in a sequel to Enchanted. I think we lost Mike or lost me, one of us. Let's see. I'm going to see if Mike will come back in here. The thing is, I can't tell who is lost, if it's me or him. So I'm going to continue talking here. But I need Mike in here. There we go. Mike is joining the broadcast. So here we go. 3, 2, 1. Mike is back in. So I don't know if that was me losing or you losing. Did you get out?
I think I got kicked out.
Okay. So anyway, I tried to keep it going as much as I could.
I'm sure you did great.
We actually talked about this ahead of time. What happens if you get a UPS delivery? Well, the show must go on.
This is showbiz, Brad.
Yeah. So so I have not seen Enchanted, but he's coming up in a sequel called Disenchanted that's going to be on Disney Plus. So, we lost Mike again. Sorry to everybody who was really coming to watch Mike on this podcast, on this episode, and you don't get him every time. So here we go. Mike's coming back in. If he gets kicked out again, I'm just going to continue with our outro because we're basically done
without me.
We're basically done. Anyway, you can go see Sonic the Hedgehog if you haven't seen it already. You can go see it at the City of Palm Coast tonight if you're watching this live. Go ahead, take it away, Mike.
We want to hear from you. Do you agree or disagree with our takes about Sonic the Hedgehog, about Brian's movie tastes, about James Marsden? Let us know. You can find us at bestpicturethis.com, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or by telling your smart speaker, play Best Picture This. We're also on Facebook and Twitter at Best Picture This. And for 15 years of Golden Takes, head over to Letterboxd where you'll find me, Mike Cavalieri.
Do you have a favorite movie from the past that's maybe been forgotten? If you want to become a patron of this show, Best Picture This, then you can help to choose a movie episode that and a movie that we'll do a future episode on. For example, The Fly has been chosen by our first patron. We're also going to do Garden State as an upcoming episode. So go to patreon.com/bestpicturethis to sign up.
And please remember to rate, review, and subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Thanks for listening and or watching. And until next time, if you are a movie executive and you're trying to find that next hit movie, I really think you should consider live action Pong. It just has so much potential to reach, 300. You'll easily pass 320 million.
There's a lot there. I agree with you. Great take as always. Golden.
All right. Signing off.
Bye.